My wedding morning felt like a dream until I saw my best friend's frantic messages. By the time I read them, it was too late to stop the disaster. The morning of my wedding felt surreal, like I was floating in a dream I had been waiting for my entire life. Sunlight streamed through the sheer white curtains of my hotel suite, casting a soft golden glow on the luxurious bridal gown hanging beside me. I could hear the distant hum of my bridesmaids chattering in the next room, the clinking of champagne glasses as they toasted to what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I should have felt nothing but bliss. But something was off. I brushed the feeling aside, telling myself it was just pre-wedding jitters. Every bride gets them, right? The nerves, the butterflies, the overwhelming pressure of perfection. It was normal, at least. That's what I kept repeating in my head. Emma, are you ready? It's almost time to get dressed. My maid of honor, Lila, called from the other room. I took a deep breath, shaking off the unease. Yeah, I'll be right out. Slipping out of bed, I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. A habit. Just a quick check before the chaos of the day consumed me. That's when I saw them. 13 missed calls. 7 unread messages. All from Rachel. Rachel, my best friend since childhood, my ride or die. The one person I trusted more than anyone outside my family. I frowned, my heart skipping a beat. Why had she called so many times? My fingers hovered over the screen, but before I could open her messages, Lila peeked in. Emma, come on. The photographer is waiting. And we still need to do your hair. I hesitated for a second, my thumb hovering over the latest message. Rachel, 7:04 a.m. You need to call me. Now. I swallowed hard. Maybe she was just emotional? Weddings had a way of making people dramatic. She had been nervous about giving her speech later tonight. Maybe that was all this was. I forced a smile and shoved my phone into the pocket of my silk robe. I'm coming. The next hour passed in a blur of laughter, makeup brushes, and last-minute preparations. My mother dabbed at her eyes as she zipped me into my dress, whispering about how proud she was. My bridesmaids gasped and clapped when I turned around, the fitted lace gown hugging my figure perfectly. You look like a queen, Lila beamed. I tried to focus on the joy in their faces, the magic of the moment. But a nagging thought lingered at the back of my mind. Rachel. Why hadn't she just come to the suite? She was supposed to be here. Where's Rachel? I asked, adjusting the delicate veil cascading down my back. Lila shrugged. She texted earlier saying she was running late, but she'd be at the venue before the ceremony. You know, Rachel probably just got caught up in something. It was plausible, but it didn't sit right. Then, my phone buzzed again. I grabbed it instinctively, expecting another message from her. But it wasn't. It was from Daniel. Daniel, 8:56 a.m. Can't wait to see you walk down the aisle. I love you. A warmth spread through me, momentarily pushing away my unease. I smiled, my fingers quickly typing back a response. Me. I love you more. See you soon. I tucked my phone away again, letting out a breath. Whatever was bothering Rachel, it could wait. In a few hours, I'd be standing at the altar with Daniel, promising forever. Nothing could ruin today. At least, that's what I thought. The limo ride to the venue was a blur of nerves and excitement. The grand estate we had chosen for the wedding was already filled with guests. As the car pulled up, I spotted Daniel's best man, Luke, standing near the entrance, talking to someone on the phone. His face was tight, serious. When he noticed me through the window, he quickly ended the call and forced a smile, walking over as the driver opened my door. Emma, you look stunning, he said, offering his hand. Thanks, Luke, I replied, stepping out. Everything okay? Of course, he said too quickly. I narrowed my eyes. Are you sure? You looked. Everything's fine. He cut me off with a reassuring nod. It's just wedding day chaos. You know how it is. I wasn't convinced. But before I could press further, my mother called my name, gesturing for me to head inside. I sighed, forcing a smile. All right, I'll see you in there. As I made my way through the grand entrance, my stomach twisted. Something still felt off. But the moment I stepped into the bridal suite to do my final touch-ups, my phone vibrated one last time. A voicemail. From Rachel. I hesitated before pressing play. Her voice was frantic, almost breathless. Emma, please, you have to listen to me. I know you're about to get married, but you cannot go through with this. There's something you don't know about Daniel. I've been trying to tell you, but... Static. A muffled sound, like she was moving. Call me the second you get this. I don't care what time it is. You need to hear this before you say I do. My blood ran cold. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, my breath shallow. And then, a knock at the door. Emma? It's time. Lila's voice. I swallowed, my hands trembling as I tucked my phone into the folds of my dress. A deep breath. A steadying exhale. I turned toward the door. Okay, I'm ready. And with that, I walked out, completely unaware that I was heading straight into disaster. The soft murmur of guests quieted as the music began to play. I stood just behind the grand doors of the ceremony hall, my fingers gripping the bouquet a little too tightly. My heart pounded, not just from nerves, but from the unsettling voicemail still echoing in my head. Rachel's words haunted me. You cannot go through with this. Why? What had she found out? Why had she sounded so afraid? I took a shaky breath as my father adjusted my veil. He smiled down at me, his eyes filled with pride. You ready, sweetheart? I wanted to nod without hesitation, to throw myself into this moment the way I had imagined for so long. But doubt gnawed at me. My instinct told me to stop, to listen to Rachel, to at least call her back. But it was too late for that now. The doors swung open, and all eyes turned to me. The sight was breathtaking. The long, candlelit aisle stretched before me, lined with white roses. Daniel stood at the altar, dressed in a sharp black suit, his expression soft with adoration as he watched me approach. The guests, a sea of smiling faces, watched with anticipation. Step by step, I walked toward the future I had envisioned. Yet, something in Daniel's gaze unsettled me. It was fleeting, but I caught it, just a flicker, a moment of something off. Like he wasn't expecting me to actually make it down the aisle. I shook the thought away. Maybe Rachel was wrong. Maybe there was nothing to fear. Maybe I was just paranoid. By the time I reached the altar, my father kissed my forehead and placed my hand in Daniel's. His touch was warm, familiar, steady. I wanted to believe in it. The officiant smiled, beginning the ceremony. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today. I barely heard him. My mind was racing. I glanced around the room, searching for Rachel. She wasn't here. That was strange. Even if she had reservations about the wedding, she wouldn't just not show up. Where was she? I squeezed Daniel's hand, more for my own reassurance than his. And then, the doors to the ceremony slammed open. Gasps erupted through the crowd as heads turned toward the back. A familiar figure stood in the doorway, her breath ragged, hair slightly disheveled. Rachel. She looked directly at me, her face pale, panicked. Emma, she called, her voice frantic. The officiant stammered in confusion. Daniel stiffened beside me. Rachel took a step forward. I need to talk to you. Now. I opened my mouth to speak, but before I could, someone grabbed Rachel's arm. It was Luke, Daniel's best man. He leaned in, whispering something hurriedly in her ear. She shook her head, trying to pull away, but he held firm. A nervous laugh rippled through the guests. Someone whispered, "What the hell is going on?" Rachel met my eyes, pleading, "Emma, please. Just listen to me." Luke pulled her back toward the door. I stepped forward, my pulse skyrocketing. Wait, what Daniel gripped my wrist tight. His smile didn't waver, but his fingers pressed into my skin. She's just drunk, he said smoothly, his voice low, only for me to hear. Ignore her. Ignore her? Rachel never got drunk. Something wasn't right. I turned toward the guests, my mind spinning, trying to decide what to do. But then Rachel shouted something that sent ice through my veins. Emma, he's been lying to you. He's not who you think he is. Murmurs of confusion erupted around the room. I felt lightheaded. Daniel's jaw clenched. Ignore her, he said again, more forcefully. I should have stopped everything right then. I should have walked away. But my body moved on autopilot, my voice shaky as I followed the officiant's words. Do you, Emma Carter, take Daniel Whitmore to be your lawfully wedded husband? I looked up at Daniel. He was smiling, but it felt different now, like he knew he had already won. A part of me screamed to run, but I ignored it. I whispered, I do. The words had barely left my lips when the second set of doors burst open. This time, the interruption wasn't Rachel. It was a woman holding a baby. A woman I had never seen before. She stormed down the aisle, her face twisted with rage. You bastard, she spat at Daniel. Gasps exploded from the crowd. I could hear someone actually scream. Everything felt surreal, like I had stepped into a nightmare. The woman's eyes locked onto me next, filled with a different kind of pain. I'm sorry, she said. I thought you knew. Knew what? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She adjusted the baby in her arms, her hands shaking. This is Daniel's son. The room erupted. My stomach dropped. I staggered back. My head shook, as if denying it could make it untrue. No, no, that's not. Daniel didn't say a word. He didn't deny it. That was all the confirmation I needed. Rachel's messages, her warnings, the voicemail. It was all true. The officiant took a step back, his expression horrified. My mother clutched her chest, my father muttering, "Oh my God." The guests were buzzing, some whispering, some outright recording the chaos. Daniel finally spoke. This is a mistake," he said, his voice flat, emotionless. "She's just trying to ruin." The woman cut him off. "Don't you dare," she hissed. "I have text messages, bank statements, proof of everything. I reached out to Rachel last night because I thought maybe, just maybe, your fiancé deserved to know the truth before she threw her life away on you. I felt like I was going to be sick. Rachel, she had known. She had been trying to save me." I turned toward her. She was crying. "I tried," she choked out. "I tried to tell you." My body shook. I looked at Daniel, my soon-to-be husband. He wasn't looking at me anymore. He was looking at the baby. And I saw it. The recognition in his eyes. The woman's voice was like a hammer striking the final nail into the coffin of our relationship. "He's yours, Daniel." Silence. And then, I collapsed. The world blurred around me as I fell. I barely registered the gasps, the chairs scraping against the floor, or the pounding of footsteps rushing toward me. Someone caught me before I hit the ground. Lila, I think. But it didn't matter. Nothing mattered anymore. The man I was about to marry had a secret family. Daniel had a child. My mind was spinning, struggling to process everything at once. The whispers among the guests turned into loud murmurs, and soon, outright chaos. "What the hell is going on?" someone demanded. "Is this a joke? Oh my God." Poor Emma. I barely had the strength to lift my head, but when I did, my eyes immediately locked onto her, the woman who had just shattered my world. She was standing at the front of the aisle, still holding the baby. She looked furious, but beneath the anger, I saw something else: pity. For me. Rachel rushed to my side, grabbing my hand. "Emma, I'm so sorry. I wanted to tell you sooner." "But, I know." I whispered, my throat raw. I couldn't look at her. Not because I blamed her, but because I hated myself for not listening. My gaze drifted to Daniel, and what I saw made my stomach churn. He was still, too still, like a man caught in headlights, his jaw locked, his hands balled into fists at his sides. His entire body was tense. But he wasn't saying a damn thing. Why? Why wasn't he denying it? The answer hit me like a slap to the face. Because he couldn't. Because it was all true. A shaky breath left my lips as I forced out the words. "Say something, Daniel." He flinched, but his eyes didn't meet mine. Instead, they flickered between Rachel and the woman with the baby. Then to his best man, Luke, who was standing off to the side, his expression unreadable. Then, finally, his gaze landed back on me. His mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. And all he said was, "Emma, let's go somewhere private and talk." I felt like I had been slapped. "Are you serious?" Rachel snapped. "That's all you have to say?" The woman holding the baby scoffed. "Oh, don't even try to spin this, Daniel. There is no talking your way out of this. The only thing you should be doing is begging for forgiveness, though we both know you don't deserve it." I watched as Daniel finally turned toward her, and something in his face shifted. It wasn't shock. It wasn't guilt. It was anger. Like he was pissed at her for ruining his perfect day. "Why are you even here?" he hissed under his breath, his voice low but sharp. The woman let out a bitter laugh. "Because you don't get to walk away from this one, Daniel. I kept your secrets for too long. You told me you were marrying Emma for security, that you'd handle things, that you'd take care of me and the baby after you got what you needed. But guess what? I'm done waiting." A fresh wave of nausea crashed over me. Security. He was marrying me for security. Not for love. Not for the life we had dreamed of together. Just for himself. Tears burned my eyes as I forced myself to stand, my entire body trembling. "Is that true?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Daniel finally looked at me, and for the first time, I saw it, the real him. Not the charming, loving fiancé I thought I knew. Not the man who whispered sweet promises into my ear late at night. This Daniel was cold, calculating, and I was nothing more than a means to an end. "Emma, please, let's just answer the question," I screamed, my voice cracking. Silence fell over the room. Daniel exhaled sharply. running a hand through his hair. He looked exasperated, like I was overreacting. Then he muttered, "It's complicated." My heart shattered. That was it. That was the moment I knew. Rachel squeezed my hand. "Emma, let's go. You don't owe him anything." She was right. I should have walked away right then. But before I could take a single step, Daniel grabbed my wrist. "Emma, please, just listen to me." I yanked my arm back. "Don't touch me." His jaw clenched. "It's not what it looks like. She's just trying to make me look bad." The woman let out a hollow laugh. "Oh, sweetheart, you did that all by yourself." That's when I saw it, security guards approaching from the back of the venue. The wedding planner, horrified and flustered, was trying to salvage the situation. Perhaps we should take a brief pause." "No," I cut her off, my voice stronger than I expected. I turned to the guests, some of whom were still filming. Because of course they were. If anyone here was wondering, the wedding is officially canceled. A collective gasp echoed through the hall. Daniel's head snapped toward me. "Emma, you don't mean that." I laughed. I actually laughed. "I don't." I took a step closer, looking him dead in the eye. "You were going to marry me while hiding an entire child from me. You were going to use me for security. And then you were probably going to cheat on me for the rest of my life and make me look like a fool while you lived your double life." Daniel's expression darkened. "I made a mistake," he said through gritted teeth. "But it doesn't have to end like this." I stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, I reached up and ripped off my engagement ring. I tossed it onto the floor between us, the metal clinking loudly against the marble. It already has. Silence. Then chaos. The guests were shouting. The whispers turning into full-blown conversations, people gossiping in real time. Daniel's mother suddenly stepped forward, her face twisted in rage. "You ungrateful little." Rachel blocked her path before she could reach me. "Oh, shut up, Karen." I turned, head held high, and started walking down the aisle alone. The wedding dress I once loved felt heavy, suffocating. But as I stepped out of the venue, into the fresh air, something inside me shifted. I wasn't just walking away from a wedding. I was walking away from a lie. And for the first time in years, I felt free. The moment I stepped outside, a cold gust of wind hit me, but it didn't shake me as much as the weight of what had just happened. I had walked out of my own wedding. Alone. The murmurs and gasps from inside the venue were still audible, even through the heavy doors. Guests were likely still piecing together the disaster that had just unfolded. Cameras had been rolling. There was no doubt that by the time I reached home, half the internet would already know about the Wedding Massacre. But I didn't care. The only thing I felt in that moment was relief. Rachel was by my side within seconds, her face still flushed from the chaos. She was breathing hard, still riding the high of the confrontation. "Jesus Christ, Emma. I swear, I tried. I tried so hard to stop this before today." I turned to her, my heart aching with gratitude. "I know," I whispered. "You were the only one who had my back." She exhaled, running a hand through her messy curls. "Come on, let's get out of here." I called an Uber before I ran in. I let out a dry, humorless laugh. "God, you knew this was going to happen, didn't you?" Rachel shot me a look. "I hoped it wouldn't. I hoped you would have listened before walking down that aisle. But when you didn't pick up, I knew I had to try one last time." My chest tightened. "I should have listened to you sooner." Rachel gave me a knowing smile. "Yeah, you should have." Before we could walk any further, I heard footsteps rushing behind me. I turned, my body tensing. It wasn't Daniel. It was Luke. His face was set with something between guilt and concern. "Emma, wait." I crossed my arms. "What do you want?" He sighed, glancing back at the doors. Making sure no one was eavesdropping. "I need you to know, I had nothing to do with this. I only found out about Sophia and the baby a few weeks ago." "A few weeks?" My stomach twisted. "And you didn't think to tell me?" Luke flinched. "I was going to. I swear. But Daniel convinced me he was going to handle it. That he was going to tell you after the wedding." I let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, after the wedding? How convenient." Luke sighed. "I'm sorry, Emma. I should have told you. I thought I was doing the right thing by staying out of it. But I see now that I just helped him cover his tracks." I narrowed my eyes. "Are you still on his side?" His jaw tensed. "No. Not after seeing how he handled today. I thought he actually loved you." I scoffed. "Yeah, well, I thought so too." Rachel grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the street where the Uber had arrived. "We're done here." Luke took a step back, nodding. If you ever need anything. I won't. I cut him off before turning away. I was done with all of them. I hadn't left my apartment since the disaster. My phone had been vibrating nonstop. Missed calls, texts, social media mentions. My name was all over the internet. Hashtag runaway bride was trending. Some news articles framed me as the tragic victim. Others as the cold-hearted woman who humiliated her fiancé. There were even people defending Daniel, claiming that maybe I was the villain for leaving him at the altar. The internet didn't know the full story, but they were about to. Rachel stormed into my apartment, a determined look on her face. All right, enough sulking. It's time for payback. I raised an eyebrow. And what exactly do you have in mind? She grinned, tossing her phone onto my lap. I looked down and saw a familiar text message thread. It was between her and Sophia. I blinked. You're talking to her? Rachel smirked. Oh, sweetheart. We're working together. She sat down beside me, grabbing her laptop. Here's what we know. Daniel didn't just accidentally keep this a secret. He actively tried to get rid of Sophia and the baby. When she told him she was pregnant, he paid for her to move out of state. Sent her hush money. Told her he'd come back for them later. But then he started ignoring her. Completely cut her off. Wouldn't answer her calls. Wouldn't send more money. Until she threatened to show up at his wedding. My blood boiled. Rachel continued. Sophia isn't innocent. She knew he was with you. But she wasn't about to let him just erase her and their son. She wanted to expose him. And I made sure she had the perfect stage to do it. I looked at Rachel, realization dawning on me. Wait, did you plan this? Rachel grinned wickedly. I may have encouraged her to make her grand entrance at the exact right time. I let out a breathless laugh. Holy shit. Holy shit, indeed, Rachel said, opening her laptop. Now, the next step. We're taking control of the narrative. She clicked on a drafted blog post. Title, I was the bride. Here's the truth about Daniel Whitmore. My stomach flipped as I read through it. It detailed everything, how I found out, how Daniel manipulated me, how he had a whole other family and tried to cover it up. Rachel leaned forward. We post this, and it's game over for him. No more poor Daniel bullshit. No more damage control. No more pretending to be the victim. I swallowed. This could destroy his entire career. Rachel met my eyes. And, did he care about destroying you? I sat in silence for a moment, my hands shaking. Then, I reached out and clicked publish. It was done. Daniel was ruined. My blog post exploded. It was shared thousands of times within hours. People who had once defended him turned against him. Sophia came forward with receipts, screenshots, emails, bank statements. Everything proved that Daniel was a liar. The company he worked for fired him. His social media flooded with hate. Even people from his own family started distancing themselves. I didn't respond to the texts he sent, begging me to take it all down. He didn't deserve damage control. Rachel and I celebrated the night his company announced his termination. We did it, she said, raising her glass. I smiled, clinking mine against hers. To revenge. But more than that, to freedom. To finally choosing myself. And as I looked out at the city skyline, a warmth settled in my chest. For the first time in years, I wasn't afraid of what came next. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking Reddit cheating stories happening around you.